Welcome to EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. This podcast is about all things production for the people in front of the camera or behind the camera. Let's join Reggie right now for the discussion.
Welcome back, everybody. We're still talking to Ken Schramm, producer, director, I don't know, really good guy. Former boss, former friend, former,
Current friend?
I said former. I said,
Former friend.
I'm sorry. current.
What do I do?
What was cool was when we started doing Ford, and we would hire you guys to come and run camera, and I was like, I would say, first of all, my thing was set up the camera on the shot. Okay, go ahead and light it. But I had such confidence. I'm going to say you because I'm speaking to you. I had such confidence in what you were able to do that I would say, this is the shot, and this is what you have to do. And then I go over there, and so Sherry was my AD. I said, log it. And we do the shot, and I say, okay, circle take. Never had any doubt that you could do what I needed you to do. And it wasn't even a matter of, okay, now I get to tell you what to do. It was, what we talked about in the last episode, it was a crew. Everybody was working to that same goal. What ends up on that videotape when the client sees it, which was why we always got the exact same compliment. You exceeded my expectations. And I thought, you know what? And that's a good crew. And I have had crews where, I tell the camera guy, well, get this shot. And I'm directing. I say, okay, well, wait a minute. And so I have to get on camera and run camera and say, okay, you handle the easy stuff, But I want to talk to you about Risa because it was a really different situation. It wasn't, really exciting television, more education. But here's what was cool about that. We did the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar thing.
That was a wonderful show.
And you guys were setting up the multicam system. And it took you, Jeff, and Bill. You, Jeff, and Bill. And you said, Reggie, go set up the audio. And I walked out there and I thought, okay, how do I want this? And I thought, okay. And I numbered the table and I set it up and I said, okay, this is how I want it. And I said, well, when they come out here, they'll change it all. And we got done. You walked out there and this is what you said. Glam dad, you here, Reg. And I was like, okay. But it was just interesting. It was so cool. I didn't know Bill, didn't know Jeff, and you guys welcomed me in as a camera guy and did some cool stuff. The hardest thing I did, though, I'll tell you. You remember the Grass Valley cameras?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We were Jeff and I went to shoot. It was a factory, I guess, where they fixed the buses or the school buses.
Mm-hmm.
So it was supposed to be all tripod. And there was one shot, we couldn't get the tripod on the bus. And I had to get on the bus and shoot. I shot with that camera, handheld. And I was like, oh my God. And those cameras, you know how heavy they were.
They were huge.
And it was fiber optic. And who knows how much they cost. And I tell Jeff, and I also had to keep Jeff from doing anything because he had surgery, so he couldn't do anything.
Right.
So I was running around, got on that truck, had this camera, I don't know how much the thing weighed, and we did like several takes. And I thought,
yeah,
I'm not going to tell Ken what I did. But you guys brought me in. It was, first of all, it was Bob. Bob was there first, and then Bob started doing something else, and it was me. But that opportunity to learn, and it was still more education. It was still more industrial. You know, it was still how to shoot and what, you know, and
We did a lot. We did a lot at Wayne Risa to help develop the function of learning through video. And the stuff we did with the bus driver training activity, first with John Shoup and then with Kim, what was his last name? The stuff that we did there to try and understand exactly what the outcome that we wanted was going to be, and then how we had to use this equipment and these people and our language and all of the things that you have to do to create a good instructional program.
Yeah.
And make sure that at the end, everyone can comprehend it. Everyone can read everything that they need to read. Everyone can see the things and hear the things that they need to hear. And that you have in fact covered everything that you were supposed to cover, which is really easy to miss. And that was one of the really enjoyable parts of that. And then the other thing that we did, I mean, this was not necessarily as much production, but I mean, when I worked at the Palace, I became really aware of the fact that all video is a combination of video and it's production and transmission. And the transmission function of how you get things to people where they are changed massively in that whole period of time I was at Wayne Risa. We went from using cable TV feeds to try and get to people on their, at the cable, wherever the location was in their school, to eventually streaming right to their desktops, and helping both the computer portion of that, the networking portion of that, build its capacity, and then also having us build our capacity to be able to do that effectively across an entire state. That was a tremendous education for me and for everyone else that was involved. And I think you guys helped. We all kicked in to try and figure out how we beat all these challenges, how we overcome all these challenges. This was a great time.
Well, I'm gonna say 3 words. Algebra for all.
Oh yeah.
I shot Algebra for All, and well, first of all, as a camera operator, I thought, okay, I think I can follow this pretty good. And so they started talking about it, and then they got about half hour in, and then they said a word. I'm sure they said this when I was in high school, but they said a word called quadratics. And I thought, what? And so so now, as far as I was concerned, let me cover what they're talking about effectively.
Right.
Not a clue.
Right.
Not a clue.
Well,
not a clue. But I was covered, and I knew, because of my production experience, okay, I don't have to know what you're talking about to help you get the point across.
Right. And that was, Jeff and Bill directed most of those. And that was the challenge that they faced, which was to understand how to use the combination of the character generator and the document camera that they were using and the computer that the presenter's using to combine all of that stuff together to get across all those concepts and help them. And those programs were pretty effective. The people that were involved in the Algebra for All, the schools that were involved in that Algebra for All program, had improvements. And that's a good feeling, is to know that what you're doing is actually helping teachers understand better how to teach. What the concepts that they have to do, and that, now you're sort of in that layers of removal from this. But it is important. It was important that we helped people learn how to do algebra.
And the other thing that's cool about this business is, at least for me, is when you do a job and the client comes and says, I'm glad you were here, or you made it easier. And I thought, and what I learned was, excuse me, we're not just hired to man a camera, and I'm just going to point this camera at you, and I'm just going to aim it at you, and maybe I might focus it okay, but it was the whole behind the camera, in front of the camera, because then the crew becomes behind the camera talent and on camera talent. And see, those are kind of some of the things I learned. But I'll tell you how much, and this is another. I've told other people about this. You and I, we were doing it was talking heads. Had 2 cameras. We didn't even have to hold the cameras. And we got done, and I went, that was fun. And you said it was boring. I said, no, but we were doing production. And that's how much I've enjoyed doing production, just because we were doing it,
Sure.
I'd be on the job, and I'd be thinking, there are people who are sitting at home and they're not doing anything, or they don't even know this is going on, but here I am, I'm doing production, and that's been my, I can't say drive, because it was just fun.
Sure.
I think it was so much fun, and I'm glad it did. It gave me the drive to work hard and figure 8 camera cables after it rained at a baseball game, and we got our gloves on yet, but the gloves get soggy, because then we would get done, we would get caught, we would do a game, get caught in the rain, get soaked, pack up the truck, go back to TV3 and say, okay, let's go get something to eat. And everybody,
Sure.
we went to get something to eat.
We all go over to the mall, or go to the pizza place.
And it was fun, and I don't know any other than a sports team. I don't know any other profession that you can have a crew that does something and they want to because of that same goal, and that same drive.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because the 2 examples that you kind of rolled into that which is the instructional video thing, and then the really high end entertainment thing. If you're doing sports, or if you're doing music shows, concerts, you're really looking to have the production be thrilling. It's got to be really exciting to watch.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that struck me when I worked at Wayne Riso, was that people, you have to attain a level of production value that is high enough that people will watch it and not be distracted by the fact that, this just looks like, was the worst cable TV show you ever saw. But if it's well done, and the production value doesn't distract from the content, the content can be enough so that it doesn't matter if it's all you're doing is sitting and watch one person talk and watch their head, and the camera doesn't switch for 45 seconds or 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If the content is great and the production value doesn't distract you from it, then the medium just becomes the medium. It becomes what it's really supposed to be, which is a way to convey information.
Right.
And that was one of the things that I became really familiar with at Wayne Riso. I think a lot of the rest of my production career was, on the flip side of that, which is trying to make things look great and be exciting and thrilling. And, even in industrials, we're gonna use a dolly, and we're gonna try and put a tracking shot in there, so and put the blue light and a little halo edge light on this, and you're trying to sexy it up as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
It was interesting. That was an interesting sort of transition.
Well,
that was when I got old.
Oh, the biggest takeaway I got from working at Wayne Riso is you don't have to be creative. I have seen, and when I say that, I have seen really informative presentations get ruined by a director who's trying to be creative. They take away from it. And it's like, okay, you just made the person miss the point because they're focusing on this person saying something, and then you do this grandiose shot, and we're going to bring the camera and bring it and then swing it all the way down here, and it's like, well, okay, no.
The production that you talked about earlier, On the Shoulders of Giants, with Kareem, his film, that event, and the students getting the chance to talk to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and his presentation itself. His presentation is magnificent to this day. I still marvel at it. But all we had to do was cover it effectively, have good production technique, and have good production experience and production value, and just not screw it up. Get the heck out of the way, as it were,
Right.
and just let us see what's happening. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. We were in. I mean, were we in the streets of New York City and with a drone shot and all this? No. We were in Renaissance, the auditorium at Renaissance High School, covering something that was really compelling, and wonderful. And that to me was, another good example of Wayne Reese's. It's just basically make sure you just do a good job, do what you're supposed to be the medium, get the heck out of the way.
Even watching TV shows, for example, the ones that I like more, I forget. Well, first of all, I had to learn how to watch TV. We all, you did. We had to learn how to watch it again because oh, did you see that? But the ones when I forget, I don't see, we notice things, but the story is coming across.
Sure.
Or their point is coming across.
Right.
Instead of, big smoke effect walking through a fog. Like, well, what did that have to do with anything?
Formula crime shows with the and a shaky cam all the time.
Yeah.
To me that kind of stuff just gets tiresome. It becomes you're trying to be more important than whether or not you could actually. You're trying to make up with shaky cam and weird poser stuff. Make up for the fact that you can't write a good TV show, or you can't choreograph a great scene. You gotta doctor it up with production tricks.
But I tell you now, one thing you and I did was when we worked on One Wine, One Mead, One Beer. That was cool. It was real simple. One camera. You were talking about one wine, one meat, one beer. When I edited those, there was no Reggie bashing because we got the point across.
Sure.
What were we going to do? Okay, Ken, let's set up a glass of beer and I'm going to shoot you through the beer.
No. That was a program that was effectively about the content. It was about the information. It was not so much about a star or some flashy thing. It was about, here's some information that we hope will help you have a better life. And I like shows like that.
I think what happens a lot now is people get flashing out. Now, one thing that kind of makes TikTok popular, you just have, but it's on these short clips. So you can have some flash or whatever. You can have stuff fast, but content-wise, okay, you got to tell it in 30 seconds because they're going to...
I wonder how good that is for the culture. How good is it for the culture that everyone's attention span is only 45 seconds long now, or even 22 seconds long? Some of those TikTok videos, people will tell me, oh, you got to be 16 to 20 seconds, or you're going to lose your audience. Well, if you can lose your audience in 20 seconds, what does that say about your audience?
I know.
And then also, what does it say about the content that you're actually trying to deliver? we got to do better.
And you know, people think. I was talking to a guy on another episode. You know, he was saying like, you know, well, people could take and show with an iPhone and things like that. And I was like, well, no, see, there's more than just showing up with an iPhone, because what we do is we're helping tell a story or get a point across with the technology.
Sure, but people, you know, what you're creating is this divide, and the divide seems to be getting bigger and bigger right now for me. On the one hand, you've got Netflix and Amazon TV and Apple TV and all these other streaming systems and HBO. And you've got Game of Thrones, right? Well, that's a little dated, but still.
Right.
Tremendous production value. Just throwing money hand over fist at this thing to make something really fun and cool. And then on the other side of the thing, you've got people with their 15-second TikTok.
Yeah.
And so there's this sort of, you know, you can be a TikTok star or you can be a real star. And sometimes people do move from one fold to the other. But Anna Kendrick didn't get famous by doing TikTok.
No,
and
she didn't.
Neither did Brad Pitt. And those people are given the credibility that they have. And the same thing is really true, for example, of music as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people out there that are just kicking out stuff right now. And it is a little easier for people to move from the YouTube, TikTok music scene into better levels. But still, you can't go do a show at Pine Knob with your Apple. Hey, there's the how come the lights aren't changing? There is a degree to which it is kind of bifurcating the talent and the level of respect. But it's all, I say that it's always been true that if you want to appear credible on television, for example, you need to look more like what you would look like on CNN or 60 Minutes than what you would look like on your home video camera.
You know, and a lot of people, well, this one job that I did for Rock Financial, when I got done, the camera guys came over and said, "It's really nice. It was nice to have a director who knew what he wanted." And I was like, "What?" Because I'm thinking everybody is like that. And he said, no. He said, we usually get directors, they're so indecisive. Should I take this? Should I take that? And then they miss the shot. He said, and you were telling us what to do and what was coming up and all this stuff. And I said, well, don't everybody do that? And then I thought about it. I said, because of the equipment costs changed, DSLRs got popular. People got their DSLR. No, they got two. And said, hey, I'm a multi-camera director. Now, had I not been around guys like you and Jim and Ben and Terry and all them to hear calling stuff and telling what's and preparing everybody, had I not done that?
Preparing everybody. I mean, this here's my tautology. Here's my redundant statement. Using production to deliver a message, communicating. You're going to communicate, and great communicators make great communicators. Meaning that you have to be good at telling people what you want. You have to be good at telling people here's what is going to happen in the situation. Here's what I expect of you, and these are the things that are your responsibility in this situation. And Holly was really good at it, for example, because if you're going to cover a baseball game and there's a runner on second and a runner on third and a left-handed batter and a right-handed pitcher, you have to know whose assignment is what, and that's all got to be laid out ahead of time, and it's got to get drilled into the people that you're working with. And then, even if they aren't doing it and they're not remembering it, it's your job to tell them, okay, right now your job is to do this. You should be here. When this happens, this is going to happen. When this happens, this is what you're going to do. So the ability to create all of those expectations and in industrials to say, look, here's who we're talking to. Here's what we want them to do when we're done with this. Here's the reasons that they're going to do those things. All of thinking through all of that and then being able to communicate it to all of the people that are involved in the production, so that when you get to the end, you get this piece that gives people what they either wanted or needed.
Right.
Or both.
Well, I tell you, what made me laugh when you mentioned baseball, third base camera. Third base camera, my shot was first base. To catch the throw out, if somebody hit like a double or whatever, and they were base, my camera followed the trail runner in. Then they had to pull across and pitch it by the catcher shot from from center field and stuff. Wow, and it's been 40-some years. I still remember that.
And a lot of that stuff is still exactly the same as it was. The third base cameras, the third base cameras got the left-handed batter.
That too,
right? And then once we cut to the center field shot, now you got to go pick up your runner. You got to go pick up, or if there's no runner, you're going to pick up this or that or the other. You've got your own set of assignments, and a lot of that came. Here's the irony: a lot of that stuff came from Chuck Waslick, even before there was network baseball, because Detroit had so much money from the car industry. We had better baseball coverage in Detroit than big, huge markets or the networks had, because Ford wants to, and Chrysler and Chevy and Stroh's at the time, they want a place to put their ads, and so there's enough money to cover baseball on WDIV at the time. And it was a template building thing that Chuck did to say, look, I'm going to try and there's a game going on right now. I'm going to try and give you person at home, as much of what I can get that's happening in this baseball stadium as accurately as I can.
Well, Ken, I tell you, we could keep talking. That's how this industry is. Appreciate you coming on. It's been a great conversation. Great.
Wonderful.
Just going over, I told you some things that I had never told you before. But I'd like to offer an invitation if you're interested in coming on and having a conversation. There are those of you who I have worked with. I may not have reached out to you before, but I'm coming. If you want to come on and have a conversation, you can reach out on Facebook, EMERJ TV, EMERJ space TV, or EMERJ.TV on any browser. Bring to my page, leave a message. Appreciate you all watching it. Ken, again, thanks again. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. Join us next time for more discussions on all things production. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.